You Cam, my boy.
I hate this.
Did you try plugging it in?
No.
From the top, make it drop. That's a wet and cushy. Now get a bucket and a mop. That's a wet and cushy. I'm talking wop, wop, wop. That's a wet and cushy. Macaroni in a pot. That's a wet and cushy.
Jesus Christ.
From the
Is that gonna have to suffice?
I guess.
I had to pick a better color.
Oh no, there I am. Okay. Wait, that's where I should be.
I'm sticking with red. I feel like red's my thing. I was fucking with the blue for a bit, but if there we are, heyo. So what was the issue?
I don't fucking know.
All right, fair enough.
I have no idea. I just had to do the same thing 3 times and then never remember.
Jarrett,
But
you've got fucking glasses on. You're supposed to know everything.
no, that just makes me look smart. When he asks me any questions, the jig's up.
Fair.
It's like when Loki's pretending to be other people. Like, best I can do is look like other people.
You gotta take the glasses off if you don't have an answer. If you don't have the answer, you gotta take the glasses off dramatically and rub the face.
I have to relinquish my glasses.
Right.
I don't have the
Right.
answer.
Exactly. That's how it works. That's the rule of glass.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you fucking know.
Oh yeah, apparently. I've been educated.
You've been educated, for sure. That's my favorite white dad line. Educated. Doesn't make
That and
any...
Buster.
Buster. Don't change your voice when you say Buster.
Here, Buster.
I feel like Buster's like a Latino, like, cholo thing. No?
Is it?
Buster?
I've never met a cholo to say Buster.
Hey, Buster? That's like a LA 90s thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's that one dude
Buster?
who's in every fucking LA movie as a gangster named Hector. I've never heard him say Buster. So that's my entire knowledge of cholos from LA.
It's like that, Buster or Joker? Hey, Joker. But that's only because
Joker,
on Friday.
yes. I mean, that's what they call like every gangster and every Latino gangster in LA is named Joker.
Listen, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to find one cholo saying Buster to further this narrative. It's a narrative. It's the thing. It's what's been done. It's always been done.
Mexicans do love clowns. I don't know why.
Yeah. The insane.
Have you ever
clown
watched any
costume.
AAA wrestling? Like half of their characters are clowns.
Right.
I don't get it.
Brandon Moreno clowned Davison Figueiredo. Huh? You like that segue? Huh?
That was.
But
You know what? I'll buy it.
get that. Give me that one. Come on.
I'll take it.
I'm never clever.
It was.
I'm
it was
never
heavy-handed, completely inappropriate.
Considering
But we'll take it.
Figueiredo can wheel kick my head off my shoulders. Yeah,
That's probably true.
that's very true. Because
How tall is Figueredo?
he's like my height. Isn't he like 5'8"?
Yeah, I mean, he could be 2 inches smaller and still will kick your head
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
I just was
I
curious.
feel so. I feel that way. Although he did look a little AIDSy this time around.
That's because I think that's just the weight cuts got people looking wild out here.
Yeah, he looks like one of the skeletons from Dark Souls, like the wheel skeletons.
He's 5'5",
Oh, never mind. I'm killing Dave
125 pounds.
Davison, if you're watching this, because I know you are. I know you're a fan. All right, I know you're a fan of the show. At least a friend of the show. All right, I challenge you to a boxing match. Everyone's doing it. Let's get our fucking payday. Beat up some guy. make my $1 million.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I'm openly
Trey
challenging
wants
Davidson.
wants the smoke
I want all the smoke.
with Brazilian sensation.
Cut to me laying the memes of me laying next to Nate Burleson or whatever the fuck was his name. Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson. Nate Burleson.
Yeah.
Burleson was a football player.
That wouldn't have happened in Nate Burleson.
No, I don't think so because he's every bit of 6'2", 250 pounds. So, we're here. We're back. We're back, y'all. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot of good stuff to cover.
There's been some things.
Before we continue and go over current events, this is a current event. It is something that happened. Friend of the show, awesome human being, all-around great fighter, very well-rounded fighter. Justin Gonzalez made his Bellator debut, and just they threw him to the fucking wolves, and he got Claxton. He was ranked number 9 at the time in Bellator. I think he was in the featherweight Grand Prix last year. And for those if you're not like if you're like kind of a casual fan, featherweight's one of the. It's pretty analogous to the UFC's 155 division. Like, it's very deep. There's a lot of very good players there. The top 5 is like a murderer's row. I think Aaron Pico is one of the guys that's in the top 3 or top 5 there. So it's a very, very legitimate division. Like, if you're going to go to Bellator... keep in mind, it's not like Justin, like, couldn't make the UFC. Like, he made it to the Contender Series, and he fucked that guy up that he was supposed to fight. Just Dana didn't... You know, Dana's got this thing in his head where he's like, if you're not getting a flash KO, like, you're not going to get, I guess, maybe that night, at least, you're not going to get the... If you don't get a flash KO or a finish... I guess it's more difficult for him to give out the contract. I don't know exactly what the reasoning was, but if you look at the stats of his fight on the Contender Series, I think he got something like 20 takedowns on the guy. It was like fucking something obscene. Like, it was just like, wasn't even like remotely close. It was a real thrashing. And then he goes over to Bellator, and they give him the number 9 guy, Claxton, another guy out of Colorado who's also, I think he's a Division II All-American. And Justin goes out there and nullifies his wrestling. Wins the exchanges. It was a very, very, very close fight. I kind of want to do a breakdown of it, make a little reel on Instagram for it. That would be kind of cool. But I just want to shout him out and give him a congratulations. I don't know if you saw it, but they showed it on YouTube. You can go and watch his fight on YouTube. He gets on. It's just really, really good adjustments on the fly. I think Homeboy went for like something like 8 or 9 takedowns on Justin. He only got 1 of them. Justin just made some very, very, very good adjustments on the fly. If he got him down, he stood him back up immediately, and it was a 3-round fight, and if it was 5 rounds, I think Justin would have beat the brakes off of him, because Claxton was out of energy, and Justin was ready to go. It looks like he had 10 more rounds left in him. I talked to Justin after, and, that was his claim to fame, is like, when they start petering out in the second and third round, that's when he starts hitting his peak performance, so obviously he looks the part too. So go ahead, give Justin a follow, give him some congratulations. He is breaking that top 10 now. He is ranked 9, so he's successfully taken his position in a fucking what was that? What's that fucking? I was gonna say Zoolander. That's definitely not it. Highlander. In a Highlander type way, Zoolander, Highlander, same difference. In a Highlander type way, there can only be one ranked number 9, and he took it right from him. I kind of like that. I respect that from Bellator, because I feel like they should do that in the UFC, and they don't do that in the UFC. Like, if you beat someone, they'll do a little bit of a shuffle. They'll either shoot you up to number 1. Like, if you were, like, an unranked guy and you beat, like, the 10th or 9th guy, they'll shoot you up to, like, 5 or 4, which I feel like is kind of inappropriate in the way that, like, why even have rankings if you're just going to, like, shuffle all these guys after one fight. I like that they swapped. Like, he drops out of the 15, Justin was unranked, and Justin now takes that 9. It kind of makes more sense to the ranking system. I understand why the UFC does it, because they want to build certain narratives around fighters, and I'm not going to fucking sit here and say that I don't like the UFC's products, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that are missed as a result for fighters who are doing very well, who are successful.
I think the other half is that there's a different sort of work rate for a lot of fighters in the UFC versus Bellator. Like, if you haven't fought in 6 months and someone who just broke the top 10 has fought 3 times in like 8 months,
right? They
are more likely to get the rocket up the rankings than someone who maybe
True.
defended or has maybe like fought 2 contenders in the past year. That is definitely a factor when it comes to like these rankings. That's not to say that every place determines rankings the same way, but I think I can see how the movement can be more volatile in the UFC.
I see that, but I also don't see that because for certain people, and I think that's the case. I think what you're saying is the case for the majority of people. But Anthony Pettis was in the top 10 for like fucking 10 years.
Yeah,
it took like 3 fights
just because off the strength of his name, running off the cage in a promotion that hasn't existed for 10 years.
Right, exactly, and not, that's no I guess shitting on Anthony Pettis because he went out there and he fucking starched. I think what was it, Wonder Boy? Recently, yes. He starched Wonder Boy, but then he fought Nate, and then didn't Nate fuck him up, or was it vice versa? I don't remember.
Recently, I think Nate lost.
Nate lost. Somebody beat Anthony Pettis, and he left. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna head out real quick."
I don't know where that fight was. I don't remember. But I remember him being like, "All right, I guess I'll leave."
All right, let me get. Maybe it was Tony Ferguson.
It might have been. It's probably. It wasn't Ferguson. It was some fucking weirdo who has been like circling a breakthrough in his own right.
Right. His last fight.
Also, shout out to Juan Claxton. He's one of those like new class of quote unquote new class of like the Black Zillions after what's his name had a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's kind of a whole different gym now. It's not the same place that was built 10 years ago when Henry Hoof was taking all these weird Brazilians and turning them into monsters. Before Rashad Evans got starched and turned into a different human being.
He actually took an L to Nate Diaz via decision. And then he fought some guy named Faella. What's his first name? Diego Faella. He was 36 years old at the time, and he got submitted. And then he beat Donald Cerrone, and then he beat some guy named Morano, and then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna head out." So he didn't leave on an L. He left on all right, let me just take this dub before.
I think the last thing I remember from him then before he left was the L.
Right.
I didn't realize he had like 2 more fights after that.
Right, and then he just lost in the PFL to Collard.
Right. I remember him fighting in the PFL too. So I guess that the 2 fights after the loss had disappeared from my memory.
I'm just very excited to talk about the fucking PFL. Let me just write that down real quick as well. So all right. So like obviously, do you have anything written down that you wanted to go over specifically? As far as like you wanted to cover, because there's just so much to fucking cover.
There's like fight highlights in particular, maybe not entire cards, but like example. Moreno's like miraculous win over, not miraculous because he won by submission,
right?
But I don't know that anyone on paper thought Brandon Moreno was going to come and upset Figueiredo.
No one thought that fucking the Mexican guy was going to come off the fucking mean streets of Tijuana and submit the Brazilian.
The Mexican guy who was in the UFC and got like cut! Because he was on the losing streak and then had to like literally fight his way back. He's like another one of those rags to riches to then rags again and then back to riches. So,
hey, if you don't like Mexicans, this is not the podcast for you because we're gonna suck off Brandon Moreno today. Because holy shit,
here.
We're all pro Mexico in this piece.
I mean, a little bit. Shout out to Leon Edwards
yes.
for putting the nail in the Diaz return coffin. Not that
I think he's gonna hang around a little bit.
Yes, but I don't know that the hype is there anymore. Like I don't know that. So. I think Nate Diaz has been riding the I beat Conor McGregor thing hard, and he should be. But the problem is you have to win all the other fights after that, and that's not been.
Yes, that is correct. But he fucking almost beat Leon Edwards, and I was screaming at the TV because he should have. Instead of beating Leon Edwards, he chose to fucking point his fingers at him. Although I don't know how much of that is he couldn't walk because of the leg kicks. Maybe he couldn't close the distance. But the other part of it is like, you gotta finish the fight, man. What the fuck? Like he was unconscious on his feet. He was gassed. Yes. He was out. I was furious.
That's what happens when, he's 36. He's been fighting since he was 20.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And he's fought the same way the entire time.
Right,
like, all he does is stand in front of you and throw. Like,
right.
I don't think it's not for you anymore.
I can't.
And even in like a shade version of Nate Diaz, he still almost beat Leon Edwards.
He almost beat Leon Edwards in the way that you thought he was going to do it.
I don't think that is maybe Nate Diaz still has it sort of. That's not my takeaway. My takeaway is Nate Diaz is an incredibly talented striker and has a lot of grit, but I think the boat's leaving without him.
Mm.
Because Leon Edwards is a great striker, strong. Crispy has like 2 really good punches, and they're really good.
And he was doing the good old Muay Thai sweeps on poor Nate's legs.
And like
textbook.
I don't know that like his style does not make a future for someone like this is only gonna get harder for him, for Nate. Like there's only gonna be more killers like Leon Edwards.
Unless he takes the time. Ring rust obviously is not a deal for him because like he's been fighting the same way he's always fought. It's a tough division to like go out and like try to figure out like who's going to be the matchup. I wouldn't pair him up with Jorge again. I wouldn't pair him up with Usman. I don't know what the fuck anyone was talking about. Like, what, bro? If he beats Edwards, fucking he can beat Usman, dude. It's like, oh. I don't know, bro, because he got beat the fuck up for 5 whole rounds until the last 10 seconds. Like, that's a rough sell. I also want to give a shout out to the cut man that repaired his fucking eye as it was falling out of his socket because he did something genius. Go back and watch it, right? So if you go back and watch it, fucking the same gash that Jorge opens up. Obviously, the blood is not a factor for Nate. He's a human pit bull. The blood might even excite him a little bit. Who knows?
Or he's so prepared for it, he doesn't flinch at it at all.
It opens all the time. It probably opens all the time in training. So he actually did the cutman's a genius, right? Very, very something subtle that I noticed, but it was enough for him to keep him in the fight, right? So he fills the cut. I'm not gonna say cut. The gash, the open wound on his head with Vaseline, and he left like a little valve, like right at the corner, because if he covers that valve up, right, it's gonna spurt the Vaseline
starts to
out.
well, yeah.
Right. It's gonna spurt the Vaseline out. It's gonna go all back in the eye. They're gonna stop the fight. He leaves a little valve right at the corner of his eye, and it's shooting. It's like squirting out of his eye like a fountain, but it's out and away from his eye, so it doesn't matter. He kind of makes a little bit of a cone. And then Nate said that he was like, he was cognizant of the fact that, listen, as much as it's funny to listen to Nate Diaz talk because of all the damage and all the years, he is a very intelligent fighter. It looks goofy. The shit that he was going out there and doing against Leon, giving him his back a little bit and doing that weird run, it was throwing Leon off, and it was enough for him to set up something. If you go back and watch the fight, I was watching the whole fight, relatively sober, and Nate was closing the distance by switching his stance to southpaw in a way that was kind of confusing to Leon, because Leon was not checking the hook. He was throwing the hook up top, and I think eventually Nate was like, well, if I'm not going to get that hook flush, like I'm hitting it, if I'm not going to get that hook flush, I'm going to cradle the head to the side where I'm going to be throwing that left power straight. And that's exactly what he did in the last 30 seconds of the fight. He cradles the head with the hook, and then he shoots right down the pipe. And it was perfect. It wasn't even that he threw so much mustard on it. It was just perfect enough to land on the chin, and he lined it up. Listen, Nate Diaz is not a dummy. He knows Leon Edwards is better than him as far as, if we're talking about straight up striking accolades. If we're gonna talk about straight up the ability to strike, if it was a kickboxing match, he would have put Nate away way easier than that. If you'd have to worry about takedowns or pulling guard or anything like that or getting pressed against the cage, it would have been way easier for him to do that. So he knows skill for skill that Leon Edwards is going to beat him in that way. So he had to figure out unorthodox ways and use his frame and his strengths to kind of weather the storm and find his opening, and that's exactly what Nate did. And you can't make the argument if there was 10 rounds, he would have won. Yeah, if fucking my what's the saying go? If my aunt was my uncle, or my aunt had a dick, he'd be my uncle. Like, you can't just make up like scenarios. Like, there's no such thing as a 10-round MMA fight. It doesn't exist. Like, like he got beat. Like Nate got like flat out beat. Like, he just despite that last 10 seconds where he could have put him away, he got straight up beat in the stand up battle. But man, Jarrett makes a lot of good points, and long term, probably the best thing for him. Don't listen, Nate. Keep fighting, because that was an interesting fight for me to watch.
And I think we give Nate a lot of credit for the end of the fight, because he recognized that a lot of things can happen if you suddenly turn it on when Leon Edwards wasn't looking. Leon knew he won that fight,
Right.
but he could definitely lose in 10 seconds
Right.
to a flurry that Leon didn't see coming. And
Right.
Nate knows that. Again, to Nate's strength, his incredible experience in the ring. Like he's using lots of lots of patience, lots of sort of elusive footwork, and lots of knowing that, you know, he's seen a lot of scenarios before. He's seen scenarios Leon hadn't seen before.
Right.
Like having a sudden burst of energy in the last 20 seconds.
Right.
I
I also think that Leon Edwards was tired. I think he was tired of beating the shit out of him.
He's scrapping for five
rounds. Yeah. Like go to a punching bag and just full sprint for 5 minutes for 5 rounds. It's difficult. Like as you know, I'm not trying to be a cheeky monkey here. Like you know.
Yeah, and imagine, you know, that how you feel at the end of that 5-round, 5-minute session. Recognize that punching bag didn't throw anything back at you at all.
Right.
And wasn't moving around.
Right.
And wasn't trying to stop you. Wasn't trying to threaten you with takedowns. You know, your brain was off when you decided to wail on a heavy bag for 5 minutes for 5 rounds. Like imagine your brain working at fight or flight mode for 25 minutes straight, and then also having to wail at that speed. You're gonna walk away different.
Right. So what do you?
Nothing takes away nothing from Nate Diaz's performance necessarily, because he's a tough guy.
That's about what I expected from Nate Diaz. That's about how I thought it was going to happen. My boys are, I was watching with a couple friends. Well, I think you definitely met Connor and Cam. I was watching Connor and Cam, like, bro, you're gassing him up too much. I don't think he's got the ability to do anything left. And I'm like, just wait, dude. Like, wait till the last 30 seconds, bro. Something's gonna fucking happen. It always happens. What if you don't think Leon Edwards is incredibly conditioned. Like he's incredibly conditioned like he's a very good athlete. You know, Connor's a good athlete. Conor McGregor's a good athlete, but he doesn't have the tank like Leon Edwards does. So we saw that peter out about 2-3 rounds in that first time, and then that third round he was able to sink in the choke. The next time around, he's like, well, he's not going for takedowns, so I'm going to turn it into a boxing match. That's exactly what he did. So he was like, well, I don't have to worry about takedowns, and I'm not going to be throwing any crazy kicks, so let me just turn it into a boxing match and manage my energy a little bit better. I'll win by points. You can make the argument that Nate might have won by points if you're talking through a boxing standpoint, which is like part of the criteria for the UFC is boxing scoring. He did kind of outstrike Conor. You can make the argument that he did win there, but I guess maybe Conor did more damage. I don't know. It's hard to measure.
And ring pressure when you're talking about. I mean, he didn't turn it into a grappling match, but like there was always a threat, and he did kind of make fake shots to try to get in. Like there's a lot more than just how your power punches, like how offensive were you for how long during a round, like what was your ring presence, all that kind of stuff. Right. There's a few more factors. They try to do it the same way boxing does, but there's way more variables.
There's way more. I was going to ask, what do you think is next for Leon? Because Colby Covington's getting the next shot at the title, which I guess we'll talk about that as well. But what do you think the intelligent move is for Leon? I just think he should just wait until the end of that fight and then take the winner, because he's already proved, like, he's fought everybody, he's beat everybody but Colby. It just doesn't make sense for him to wait for Colby to lose and then fight Colby. I just feel like he was on the fast track to go and fight Usman. The only other fight that I would see just for the lulz is him fighting Jorge Masvidal. And Dana White says that would be the fight to make too, if that was available. So, I think Leon should either wait for the giant payday, which was, I think, Jorge. And I think Jorge wins that fight, if we're being honest. And just wait for Usman. I think he should just wait for Usman or wait for a giant payday at the end of the day.
I wonder how much say he really has, right? Like,
yeah.
He's number 3, so the only person to fight that would be quote unquote progressive to a ranking would be Burns, I guess, who's probably number 2.
Yeah, because he was 1 and then he got dogged by Usman and he dropped.
But even then, like, I don't know that a fight, like a win or a loss, like a loss to Burns would be way more devastating than a win would be beneficial.
Right.
But does he even have the option to sit and wait for the winner of Covington Usman?
He said that that's what he was going to do if that is a matter if he's got the ability to do that. Is that I don't know because Gilbert I don't think is going to get a rematch.
No, not immediately.
No, not immediately. He's a really
Gilbert would have to sort of angle for a Leon Edwards fight to get a rematch.
Right, which is kind of fucked up because that's been Edwards' whole career is like people using him as a stepping stone and then getting beat and then he's like, well, what about me? And then like, fuck you.
Can I step stone? Yeah. Like, no, shut up.
No, fuck you. It's fucked. I think this is because of the Revolutionary War. I think Dana's still a little bit upset about that.
Probably.
He's just kind of sticking it to,
It's like, oh,
GB.
You're from where?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not Boston?
Right. You're not a
That
white
sucks.
guy from Ireland?
Again, in the welterweight division, the money fight is Masvidal because Masvidal draws.
Right.
I think a Wonderboy Thompson fight might be funny, but like again, there's no value there for anyone except me who just want to watch it.
Just through a skill standpoint, that would be fun to watch. But if Wonderboy wins, everyone goes, "Okay, you're not fighting."
Right. So
you're not fighting.
About then who 19-4, I guess Leon Edwards would be then, and like we just forget about his entire career after that.
Right.
I guess. I mean, he should at least if he can wait, he should. He should not. The next thing he does should be fight for this belt.
Right.
Depending on how that fight goes, will depend on what the rest of his career looks like. Does he gain weight and move up to middleweight? Is that wise? With folks like Cannonier and like Paulo Costa and even like someone like Brinson, or I think maybe even Weidman could be a problem at the lower end of the top 15. And then that's all that's saying before you even talk about Israel Adesanya. Though there's a lot of I think there's a lot of middleweight matchups that would be great for Leon Edwards.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
That's putting the cart before the horse because he still hasn't fought Usman or Covington for this belt yet.
Right.
Like that should be the focus because his entire life has been like, can I be welterweight champion, please? That'd be sweet.
Right. It'd be real dope if you started counting the wins that I've won inside of your league. And it's not like Darren Till, like he beat like a guy, and then they're like, "You're a champion now. Go ahead and fight Tyron Woodley," and then he got opened up like a can of fucking tuna. You know what I mean? It's like Leon Edwards has beat like just about every blue chip guy that you can think of. Like at 170, like he's beat everybody. Like other than Colby and other than Jorge, who those two guys have fought less than Edwards has in the last
and they've
3
won.
years.
They don't have the same amount of win, like the same names on their lists.
Right.
Like really, you look like Leon Edwards is the kind of guy who kind of has cleared out that division technically without being champion.
Which is fucked up because like the champion should do that. I feel like Usman's he's done that.
He's done enough of it, and I think the problem with Usman is that the two biggest fights are actually also very compelling fights for him.
Yeah.
Like Masvidal and Colby Covington are compelling fights because of the grudges.
And also to his credit, I don't really hear anyone call out Usman at all. Like I've heard just about every other call out to everyone else. You very rarely hear people call out Kamaru Usman.
You don't hear people call out Black Panther. Like no one's fucking T'Challa.
Right. Colby. That's why as much as he's a douchebag, like Colby is the real deal, and arguably he was winning on points, against Usman until he got flatlined, until he got his fucking jaw broken all crazy.
But that was I think that's one of those like this is how that fight was going to go though.
Right.
Like either Colby Covington was going to win the sport of MMA or get absolutely destroyed.
Right. That's exactly how we imagined it. That's going to be an interesting fight to rewatch again. Usman's the kind of guy that... Remember the fucking Tony Ferguson memes? Tony Ferguson's the kind of guy... Usman's the kind of guy that makes, like, really good adjustments. So I would... he makes phenomenal adjustments in a short amount of time. So I would imagine that now that he's felt Colby, and now that he's basically a knockout artist his last 3-4 fights, I think Colby's going to have a way rougher time having taken a 2... He hasn't fought since he fought Usman 2 years ago, right?
Covington?
Yeah, or maybe he took one fight.
He fought Woodley.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of Woodley, huh?
And beat his ass.
Yeah, he beat the fucking shit out of him.
But that was a year ago. That was
a year ago.
September of last year, so.
Right.
I think September of last year.
And I don't know that I can say that Colby, ring rust is real for certain people. And I don't think we've seen that in Colby's career yet. Right. right? Like he's been pretty consistent. Like he's fought pretty consistently throughout his career. Is this his longest layoff?
Yes, because he fought twice in 2019. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess maybe not his longest. Like he only fought once the year before that. He fought Dos Anjos in 2018, and that was his only fight that year.
Okay.
And that's when he won the interim title, and was later stripped because he hadn't defended it.
Right.
Because I think he was injured or something like that.
Right.
Or something like there was like a small injury. They kept trying to make a match with him, and I don't remember what it was, but like the match kept falling apart, and he didn't defend it. So then there was a conversation about his contract.
Oh yeah, Dana was like, as soon as I could get rid of this guy, I will. Like he didn't give, like they gave Khabib like almost 2 years to like come back. You know what I mean?
And this was when he had lost to someone in like 2015, and then was beating people slowly. But that's when he started winning big around in 2016, like right around the Trump campaign, which is when he started turning into this character. Mm-hmm. And he became so obnoxious that like even Dana White, who is a Trump supporter, was like, nah, you're wild.
We've talked about this before. He was like gonna get cut. He was gonna get cut from the UFC because he's just like they're uninteresting, and he's like, well, gotta cook something up. And
he turned this character. He turned to his character that had the president start calling him and shit, and he became a person you could like. People were coming to watch, and he made his fortune that way.
Yeah.
And then they tried to put people in front of him that would possibly have a great opportunity to beat him, like Damian Maia, and he just beat him by decision. Dos Anjos was one of those guys. And then the whole contract thing happened. He got stripped, and then they put Robbie Lawler in, thinking Robbie Lawler was just going to murder him.
Right.
And that did not happen.
Did not happen at all.
And then he
I saw that live.
Title shot, and Usman did murder him.
Yes.
And then I guess I think the opposite happened for Tyron Woodley, where where Dana was like, I need to get Tyron Woodley the fuck away from me. How do I do that?
Yeah.
Let me give him Colby Covington.
Let me just convince him he's a rapper. Then he'll focus on that. Man, there's just so much to talk about. There's
a main event of that fight, I think, which is actually maybe the least important and remarkable fight, was just Izzy defending.
Yeah.
Pretty handily over Vettori.
I didn't think he was going to beat. Or not. I'm sorry. I knew he was going to beat Vettori. I didn't think he was going to put him away, because of how tough he was. And I know that it's not that Izzy struggles with wrestling. That's just not his base. But we really got to see him cancel all of his wrestling, like all of it. Like he just had no. And I think I was listening to. I don't remember who the fuck I was listening to. I think I was listening to Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier was talking to Ariel Helwani about how Vettori was clearly watching Jan tape. And I think they thought that he could just lean on his wrestling in order to like kind of overcome Izzy and his striking. But the problem with that is that he didn't set up wrestling at all with any kickboxing. Jan set up his wrestling with kickboxing. He had to keep him guessing. Izzy didn't have to guess at all. He just kept him at range and he kicked the shit out of his legs, which is what he does if you let him stay in that range. I knew that Vettori. I think just about everyone watched Vettori fight. And as remarkable of an athlete and he's remarkably tough. There's nothing skill-wise that really jumps out to me on paper when you look at him fight and you match him up against Izzy. Like Izzy is like God tier, you know what I mean? He's like the S+ class. A+ and above for toughness and resilience, but when we're talking about straight up kickboxing ability and his wrestling, listen, he's a good wrestler. Like he'll beat your average Joes in the gym, but if we're talking about Division 1, Division 2, even Division 2 or 3 wrestlers, they're going to wipe the floor with Vettori. He's not a world-class wrestler. And you can see that when he's unable to transition. He's not very quick on his feet. He lumbers. He uses his physical abilities more than his actual wrestling technique. He's aware of wrestling. He knows how to wrestle in certain areas, but his technique's not the best, and he's only able to just hold people against the fence or on the ground. And if he's unable to do that, then he's not really doing much with his wrestling.
His strength is when they're taken down already.
Right.
And couldn't get that done. And he's one of those guys who has just like a remarkable work ethic and is just tougher than a lot of people. He's one of those dudes who fought his way to that championship opportunity, doing nothing remarkable except winning. Which sounds like a slight, but that's like an old school way of getting title shots.
Right.
Like this idea that every division has like a maverick sort of like standout prodigy of a fighter is kind of a new thing.
Right.
A lot of fighters kind of were just tougher than the people around them at the time.
Right.
And they got like 3 defenses and then like they cycled out, but like
he's like an old, like, you're right, it's like a throwback in a lot of ways. And that's how kind of Paulo Costa got up too as well.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a Rich Franklin or something. Like a dude who was just fucking. He won the right fights in the right time. Got that championship match, defended it twice. Beat Evan Tanner, and we remember him as a fighting champion at the time. And the problem is he was just in front of again a prodigy. Right. So being tough isn't enough against a prodigy.
Maybe earlier UFC it might have been enough, but in this day and age, when you're talking about blue chip guys as far as striking and grappling now, so you need to be, if you're not like weighted in one area where you're like an expert in one area, and then like round out the other areas, like Izzy clearly has done, like he's clearly just gotten better, like in just about all areas. You need to have that intangible like athleticism or like fight IQ where you can just outsmart your opponent, and no one saw either of those things from Vettori, who was like
to Vettori's credit, his last loss before Izzy was also Izzy,
right,
in like 2017.
Right.
Or
Listen,
whatever.
he's the real fucking deal, and Izzy, as much as he doesn't like him, was still giving him props in certain areas. But like the reality of the situation is, like people are talking about Israel Adesanya as putting him on the middleweight Rushmore. Like he might be one of the greatest to ever do it. So for you to go up against a guy like that, even if that's true or not, if that's the conversation they're having, because he's undefeated in that weight class, you need to show us something that makes us believe that you can do that. And I didn't see it. I didn't see how it was going to be possible for him to do it.
No, I don't know that that's a fight that will ever change. Like that outcome happens every time, in my opinion.
No. Yeah, they're about the same age. I don't really see him really changing at all.
The remarkable amount of change in his game he'd have to make to adjust. Like he'd have to fight Izzy every day.
1,000 times and maybe get him once when he's got COVID or something, like. Right. How did you feel about him filing the suit to overturn the win? He said he felt that I don't know if he's supremely delusional or if he's just like trying to remain relevant in the
felt
talk.
Like an ultimate troll, but again, at the time, like I don't know where he's at anymore.
Right.
Like
mentally,
the kid who was a troll 2 years ago, that's like a different guy now.
Right.
I think.
Right.
I don't know if the championship has really turned him into something that is truly like out in space, or this is just a permutation of that same dude who did anime poses on the way out.
Listen, everyone my favorite thing about, as much as I fucking like cringe at what Israel Adesanya does, at the core of all of this, he's beating up a bunch of Chads and they fucking hate it. They hate that they're getting beat the fuck up by this nerd.
He is John Jones.
Right.
Except John Jones is always the Chad.
Yeah, he's always the Chad. He's literally always the Chad.
Where Izzy kind of wasn't.
Right.
And turned into one, and he is now presenting more of a Chad than he ever was. But when he started, he was just a fucking anime asshole who was just absolutely starching like all of your favorite fighters.
Everybody.
In the same way John Jones did. He came through, 205 and was just absolutely killing everyone in that.
Right. Right. And if he wasn't killing you, he's bludgeoning you for 5 rounds or 3 rounds.
Right. Like all your favorites, like Rampage got absolutely annihilated, and that like changed Rampage life. Like
forever. It's like irreversibly. Forever. Love it. Yeah, he's I'm starting to edge more to believing that Vettori is like delusional, because I just feel like his ego got shot. He really believed in himself. Like there's it's like a funny thing, like people are like, all you gotta do is believe and you can accomplish anything that you set your heart to, and it's like that's not true.
Sometimes you just lose, and that's
right.
it.
And then if you don't build any mechanisms to support the fact that you might lose, then you just crumble and like shoot up a school or like something. Right. Vittori's thing is like filing a lawsuit against a very decisive win. Like that's his.
I don't get it, and I think it's that's for the people who would agree, regardless. The people who just need Izzy to lose, that's for them. That's for like when I saw at Kaminsky's, a bar in South Jersey. I saw John Jones beat Chael Sonnen handedly,
right?
Like without problem. And I was sitting next to like a family, like mother, father, and like two small kids, who were the only people in the dining area who were there rooting for Chael Sonnen. And I saw them like immediately after the TKO, they got the check and just walked away quietly. Wow. That's for those dudes.
Wow, there's domestic violence.
Vittori's overturning his appeal is for those guys.
There was an unreal amount of violence that happened after the McGregor Mayweather fight. Like white people were just not happy about that at all. Yeah. They like really
for some reason they couldn't read the tea leaves.
They watched Miracle. And they heard the song "Dream On" 1,000 times. They're like, "This is the day that we're gonna take back." And
they played a lot of "Shipping Off to Boston."
Right.
And turns out the guy who won 50 previous fights won another one.
The guy that was an expert in his boxing field against the guy who's never fought. How did they even sanction that fight? Is what I want to know. Because McGregor had no. Yeah, but like, for instance,
it was in Las Vegas, right?
I don't remember.
I thought it was in Vegas.
My overall arching point, which is going to be a segue, because we're talking about Mayweather, is Logan Paul and Mayweather, they would not sanction that fight because he had no...
Yeah,
basically no fights.
It had to be an exhibition.
It had to be an exhibition. Was the McGregor fight an exhibition?
No, that was for...
That was for realsies.
Yeah, that was his last win.
So
that's his last win on his record.
Maybe they considered him because of his.
Well, he's also a professional fighter.
Fighter, and he had some amateur fights as well too at boxing.
He has some amateur boxing fights. He's also a double champion. Like he's clearly a combat. A combat sports.
I take it back. I'm making things up.
Well, Logan Paul's only other fight is one he lost against a random.
He lost and then drawed the same guy. he drawed him and lost. Didn't make any adjustments. That was a bullshit fight. We're not even going to give.
I do appreciate Logan Paul coming out with the $300,000 Charizard.
That is pretty amazing.
That's the only thing I appreciate because that entire fight was a farce.
It was garbage. Wasn't even the whole.
The
only thing that I was glad to watch on that fight was two things that I was glad to watch in that fight or hear rather was Jesus Ameros go out there and just talk wild shit the whole time.
It's funny, they pitched that on like their podcast 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks before, and then like the next week they're like, guess what we're gonna do? That thing we were joking about.
I liked it. It was fun. It was fun to hear them just come up with little quips on the way. None of them were memorable though, so I couldn't tell you which one.
Everyone was drunk. They weren't here to do comedy. They were here to talk shit over this dumbass fight.
Right. It was fun. I don't know. They were like talking about Logan like he was raising his hands like he won. It's like, did you win though? Because you got beat up for a lot of that time. So, I don't even want to go watch the fight if you really want to go watch it. But like I will say, Mayweather. I think they sold 1 million pay-per-view buys, which is just kind of a big deal for somebody who's not a boxer. There's just been a slew of like TikTok, YouTuber, boxing. Bryce Hall fought some other guy that I don't know. I don't even really know who Bryce Hall is.
Ocho Cinco fought.
I was excited to see Ocho Cinco fight. I will say that. I didn't want to see him.
Lamar Odom just fought in some other fight.
He fought Aaron Carter. He fought
Aaron Carter,
fucking Aaron Carter, which is that should be the Rocky. That should make that into a Rocky movie. If we're being honest with each other.
That's illegal. The cop should have ran in there.
Yeah. That was dark to watch because it was just poor Aaron Carter. He looked like he just didn't spend any time. But let's be very clear. Both of them look like they didn't spend any time boxing. No.
But Lamar Odom's been in fights. You can look at Lamar.
Right.
That man was here to fight someone.
He was fighting for his life not too long ago at the Kardashian house.
True. Which is what happens when you go there.
Right. This and they were brutal with him. They were like chanting the Kardashians' name. Which one he was with? She was Courtney. Yeah, she was kind of ogreish.
Chloe?
She got all the work done.
Chloe, one of those.
Yeah, Chloe. It was Chloe because she looked like a linebacker, and then she got all the work done. And then she
she fixed that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about that part.
It's funny because Evander Holyfield fought Mitt Romney once for like a charity boxing match, and that was a better fight than that.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that Mitt Romney boxed Evander Holyfield.
In 2015, I think.
Was it for funsies or like?
It was a charity thing they did in Utah. It went like around. It was not serious.
Okay, all right.
It turned out that he was very not serious.
About boxing.
After Holyfield lightly hit him twice, and you're like, all right.
He's like, okay, I felt that. I definitely felt that. My brain did a little flicker on that one. So let's go ahead. Let's do a tap out. I think
Romney had some sort of light boxing experience in maybe the service or something, like when he was younger.
Could you imagine getting pieced up by Mitt Romney? That would be dark.
Me, maybe. If Andy Holyfield came in and got any hits were clean, it's over.
Imagine he KO'd Evander Holyfield. He's being fucking president. They're like, make him president. I don't care who's president right now. Remove him from office. Make me run. He beat Evander Holyfield. I love it. Mitt Romney, get back at it. Let's see Mitt Romney versus Logan Paul. I feel like their skills are about the same.
Kind of. But I mean, what if Mitt Romney beat Logan Paul though? That'd be hilarious.
If he gave him some TRT and
gave him a year to get
into shape. Because Logan, listen, the Paul brothers, they're I think they're lumping Logan in because of the success of Jake, what he's done. I think your guys are both white and look the same, so who cares? Like,
I think they're not. I don't think they're lumping them in. I think they're just forgetting that they're different people.
Right, that's the thing. They're
because Logan and Jake are like they look the same at this point now.
Virtually identical. Logan is really bad at he's not. He does a very good job at making himself look like he's a good boxer, and he'll beat up like the Gronkowskis because they don't know how to fight either. They figured out a way, like, if you just box people who don't know how to box, like, you can really beat the fuck out of them. Like, all you gotta do is take a bunch of steroids and, like, just, do whatever. You can really beat the fuck out of these people. He found that out, but there's, like, one flurry in that Mayweather fight that is just, like, abysmal to watch. It's just very sad to watch, and it's just,
the one in the corner, like, in the second round or something, where
right,
he
just dropped the whole load. Yeah. He was hoping...
And Floyd's like, what if I just stand here for 30 seconds? You're not going to hit any of these.
What if I told you I'm an expert boxer? And then none of that's going to work.
I don't want to shock you, but I've been doing this for 25 years.
Canelo Alvarez could barely touch me, and you're going to do whatever the fuck that was. Like, he wasn't turning his hips. Like, it was just dark to watch. Logan is not a good boxer in any stretch of the imagination. Like, he spends a lot of time like capturing him training, and anyone can do that. Literally anyone can do that. You can look like a world-class athlete if you got the right trainer and the right equipment. Like, it's just a reality of the situation. That's what money can buy you. Jake Paul is a little bit different because he's put his guys away and he looks a little bit more serviceable. Like, you can see his technique, you can see what he's trying to do. Versus Logan, who's just like, I'm just gonna just.
Or you can at least see where it could have worked.
Right.
Like, you can see some.
It makes sense.
Process some of his footwork and see like what this could have worked if he had known this was a possibility.
Right.
That's just time.
Right.
Logan's just big and is like only swing.
Right.
Which is why it's even like more embarrassing that he lost to someone who is so much smaller than him.
Right.
I mean, yes, he's the best living boxer that's still active.
I just feel like
he's also someone who is 30 pounds lighter in that fight, I think.
Right. It was just ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about that fucking guy anymore. Let's talk about the other Paul brother. He's gonna fight Tyron Woodley.
Tyron's gonna get his ass beat.
You think so too, right?
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't want this to happen.
No, I don't either.
But it's looking like that might be what happens, because he's got like 4 inches on Woodley, I think, something like that. Because he's 6'1" and Woodley's like 5'8".
It was like 5'8" or 5'9", I think.
Oh, if he's 5'9", it's only like 2 inches, but 3 inches. I can't do math. 4 inches. 4 inches.
It's a 6'1"?
Yeah, 4. That's 4.
Yeah,
that's 4 inches. Yeah, he's got 4 inches on him, and Jake might literally be a better boxer than Tyron Woodley.
I think so too.
Yeah. which is, it's fucked up to think. But let's just look at, like, we don't want to be here as just, like, a species. As a species, we don't want Jake Paul to be successful. It doesn't matter if you're a fight fan or not. We don't want him to be successful, and it's worse that it's going to be against a legitimate... It's a very scary fight for Jake Paul, because it's still Tyron Woodley, you know? Like, he's still got the one-punch KO power. It's just the reality of the situation is he's 40-plus years old, or close to it. His chin is gone, which is scary to think about. And it's boxing. He's not going to be able to lean on anything else. If he starts getting fucked up, he'll have to clinch, but he's going to get separated. So this is a very scary... The whole MMA community is clenching their asshole right now.
I think some are also trying to like delegitimize this already. Like Vitor Belfort's like, this is the worst dude you could pick from MMA to represent MMA in a boxing match like this, which is maybe true. Or at least maybe not the worst, but it's not definitely a good one.
No, Ben Askren was definitely the worst representation of MMA.
They brought his ass off the couch to fight.
Literally had a hip replacement 2 months before that fight. 3 months before that fight.
And he skated in and skated right out with a smile on his face and a $500,000 check.
Right.
So, but, you know, he just lost 4 fights in a row before he got removed.
And his last one was brutal. Like, it was just like a brutal...
A terrible submission to Vincente.
Yeah.
With the choke... with the same move that his last win came from, on Darren Till, which
Fuck
is
you.
just poetic.
Troll move by Vincent. Did not have to do that to our poor guy. Chose to do that on his own recognizance.
But absolute, like a devastating loss by decision to Usman and Burns.
Yeah.
And then the fucking slaughtering by Kobe Covington.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And people have been wondering for years, like, where's his head? Like, he's clearly not in this anymore.
Something that we talked about before. Even if he gets
into physical shape, he's not here for this anymore.
Right.
And maybe, like, the new atmosphere with a new motivation is maybe what he needs, but...
Or the paycheck just might be enough for him to sign up and be like, whatever happens, happens. It doesn't matter.
Right. Like, what is he uniquely motivated in this fight in a way he was not motivated in the last 4 fights? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard, like,
because I think I'm still stuck in this world where I think Tyron Woodley just needs to get his mind right and he's fine.
I don't think that's also the case.
Maybe he just isn't fine. Maybe he's just not going to be that.
I just don't think he's got that fire, I guess, anymore. I don't know what I couldn't tell you. But I know this, like, again, when you're put on the spot, and Woodley's not the best guy in the mic ever, when you're kind of put on the spot, I guess some people will say anything to not cast any doubt. Because maybe they just need that. When he got beat by Usman, he's like, I was 100% there. I was ready. He just outclassed me and beat me. And then basically the same speech 3 other times in a row after that. It's like, okay, so then now, is it a motivation problem? Is it your lack of ability to do it because of your age? Do you just not have it anymore? And you can see him get visibly frustrated in these fights where he's hitting these guys as hard as he can and then he's not putting them away. Where, like, he used to be able to. And part of that's father time, and I think the other part of that is, like, maybe he just doesn't have that anymore. So that's why this is scary, because Jake Paul's got everything in the world to prove. And he is a physically bigger guy than he is. So, he's going to be able to lean on his athleticism more than his skill. And quite honestly, his skill might be better than Woodley's as far as boxing goes. So, because it's literally all he's been doing for the last 2, because he can afford to do it. He can afford to take 2-3 years off from doing anything else and still make a ridiculous amount of money doing 1 or 2 things. And it's not like he's just like a homer and he's just sticking with some guys that he knows. Like, he's going around the world and he's boxing with some of the best people available. Now, Woodley's got some of the coof and the money to do that now himself, but is this going to be the amount of time that he needs in order to do that? Because he's, the transition from trading for MMA, where that might be good for his conditioning. Like, maybe his conditioning's not going to be a problem. The sharpening of the skills was going to be crazy, because Jake is just, he's going to be coasting a little bit. It's not going to be as much. I feel like it's less pressure for Jake. because he's been doing it.
I think part of the reason these fights even happen is because Jake's not picking boxers
Exactly.
in his weight class.
Exactly.
He knows that the pressure is like the worst thing that can happen is he loses.
If
But
he
he
fights
loses to
someone,
a guy who was never a boxer, so it's like a thing. It's like, who cares?
if he fought anyone remotely close to his size, even if they're amateur boxers, if they were 6'1" and 190 pounds, they put him away in the first round. That's just a reality of the situation. Like,
Or at the very least, outpoint him. Like,
Right.
like run him around this ring. Like, I don't even know he'd be knocked out necessarily, but it would be lopsided for sure.
well, his chin isn't tested, so I'm having a hard time that he's gone his whole life up until now without, maybe that'll help him have a
The thing
fresher
is,
chin.
I don't know what's happening in these training camps. So
Yeah.
and I don't know that he is out here looking for people to give him to really press him,
Right.
in a training camp necessarily. But and he lives a pretty cushy life
Right.
out there in Puerto Rico, evading taxes with his brother or whatever.
Facts.
But
Shouts out to exploiting Puerto Rico for everything they have. The Commonwealth.
American pastime for the past 100 years.
Right.
I don't know. Like he's showing up in these famous places. He's like getting some real time with real boxers, but I don't know if that's just like dudes holding pads or dudes like really pressing him in sparring situations. Like, I don't want to say he has no chin without seeing it ever tested.
The only thing we have is MMA fighters like giving their anecdotes.
Yeah, and we have in this particular situation Tyron Woodley, who made the best part of his career testing chins against
Right.
people who had devastatingly, well-known chins,
Right.
like
Like
Daniel
Darren Till.
and Darren Till
Yeah.
and Robbie Lawler, like real like ass beaters.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit, like even Koscheck. I mean, the Koscheck he beat was not the same Koscheck from even 5 years before that, but
Right.
Josh Koscheck was known for being a tough guy.
Right.
Until he started like pretending to get his eye poked and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, there is no. I don't see the vision. I don't fuck with this vision. I don't see how he wins this fight. And I don't see how it's a good fight for him to take other than a paycheck.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I could they had to throw him a solid number for him.
Or he had to
consider
see
it.
like I think he would have to recognize a number because, like it or not, especially the Pauls, they're starting something, or maybe not even starting, but capitalizing on like that whole sort of carny sort of underbelly of combat sports, where if you just want to see a dude get their ass beat hard enough, like you can kind of make that an event.
Right.
They've kind of liquefied that and concentrated it and weaponized it for their own benefit. Because let's be serious, these are YouTube stars.
They struck
Who are
gold.
just fighting people.
They really struck gold
But,
because they're kind of doing like what boxing's already been doing for mad long.
For years. Like,
Yeah.
This is not new. This is not a new concept.
Right.
Jose Canseco's has had 3 fights. Like,
Yeah.
this is not new.
They're
But
just applying it to people who don't fight. Like they're the same
but
formula.
They are choosing. Not only are they like handpicking fights, they're handpicking fights with like actual people who we've recognized as legit fighters.
Yeah.
They're promoting these things themselves. They're bringing a fan base who was not watching boxing.
Yeah.
Before this, probably won't watch boxing after this.
It's like
They're
Jackass. to
only
them.
watching them.
Right. They're watching. This is a new episode of Jackass. They're watching
Yes.
Jackass in real
And
time.
they watch these same people who are doing versions of this kind of stunt work on their YouTube channel. This is just another stunt to them.
Right.
And they triple down on this concept of like, especially with YouTubers, this like sort of self-made entrepreneurial, like I'm just out here, grinding hard to, be successful. Like that whole veneer on top of all this stuff.
Never mind,
if
we're
you're
from
a
Connecticut.
real fan-
We're from Connecticut or Ohio. Never mind, we're from Ohio and have come from tons of money. Don't
come from money.
forget
Yeah,
about that
we were
part.
set up. We'd never seen a bootstrap, let alone pulled anything up from it.
We from the gutter.
But like this whole concept of like this YouTube influencer who's like, yo, I grind hard to get here, blah 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 blah. If you don't fuck with the vision, you're a hater. Like
Right.
that whole sort of like fake ass hustle guy mentality. They're bringing them with them too.
Part of that-
they're there's lots of boxers who are with that bullshit too.
Part of that is they have hired a bunch of black people to be around them, and they're yes men. So they'll be like, yeah, you're from the gutter. You're from the gutter. Thank you for the Rolls Royce. You are one of us now. You can say the N word. Say the N word on.
Hey, go nuts.
Go ahead, go nuts.
What's his name? Very famous boxing promoter that kind of spearheaded this whole like pick and choose your fight, and don't box for the record, box for the money. What is his name?
Is he a current promoter?
I think he might. I think he still does it. He was
Oscar De La Hoya.
No. Wasn't he trying to fight soon too?
Yeah, he was trying to fight GSP, and they shut that down.
Good.
Dana shut that down. But he'll let Woodley get beat up by Jake Paul. It's very strange.
He was Floyd's promoter early on.
Talking about Aaron?
Yes. Because Aaron was like, he was a real big sort of trendsetter when it came to like chasing the money.
It's all about the bag.
And he owns what's happening here is really no different than that. It's just
he owns Top Rank, right?
He owns Top Rank still, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just this is just a more perverted version of that.
Right.
Which everyone thought was perverted anyway. Like
right.
Most Rocky movies are about how this is bad.
Yeah.
So this isn't new. It's just another version of it. And we're seeing people who were not inside this culture at all benefit from it and then just leave and they be able to step in and out of it whenever they want, and that's what people are upset about. But those people they can be upset, but they also then buy it, and then they have their leg to stand on. They're only doing this for the money. We all know this, but we can't then give them the money because then what are you doing?
We need to get on this bag, Jarrett. I'm gonna start live stream. I'm gonna go to Esporta and just challenge fighter people.
Yes,
just strangers.
I'm gonna cut a promo in the Esporta parking lot every day.
Right.
Jake Paul, see me.
No, I'm not even going that far. I'm just gonna pick a small woman.
Oh, you're just gonna fight in Esporta?
Just fight them. Like they're on like.
Oh yeah, the next person.
They're on the squat rack.
Old dude who's just like who's like dancing around the functional training area and has to stop and hit the bag 10 times or whatever.
Right.
That's the.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about too. Yeah.
I'm fighting that guy.
He'll like ask me for pointers, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then he'll just do none of them. So I'm like, all right, wasted my life for 5 minutes. Yeah, good guy though. But yeah, I'm just gonna start live streaming, just beating these elderly people to a pulp, and then like put up a donation box.
True. Get a Kofi going. Buy me a cup of coffee every time I start a random person.
That's right. There was that fucking guy that was like that did that for clout.
There was a dude who would just go. He would challenge people like boxers,
but
go to their gym and like
get
fake,
beat up.
or he would sneak. He would like sneak them like in the street or something.
Yeah.
And then eventually he would start going to places.
Right.
And then he would lose, and he would lose like a round of like an aware round until everyone's like, all right, get it, like he's done, and then he'd run up on him when he turned around.
Right. He did it to Floyd Mayweather Sr.
He did it to the senior, and I don't know if he did it, but someone did it to
Deontay Wilder, and I think it literally was him because he was threatening his daughter on the phone.
Yes. And they like locked the door and they're like, "Yo."
Yeah, you're like not going anywhere.
Just chase this dude around the gym.
Right, and he's like, "Please, please, please," and he's just like, just wail. He's 6'9". Like, we're gonna run away from him? What the fuck are you thinking about?
And everybody in the room wants to see you die.
Right.
Like, you're not
Terrible.
getting out of this.
That guy's almost like courageous. Like, because like what the fuck? I wouldn't do that for under any circumstances in a gym. I wouldn't talk shit in a room full of people I don't even know, and it's their place. And I can't get out?
I don't know if it was the same person, but didn't someone else try to do that to Derek Lewis as well?
Oh yeah, some poor I can't say poor sack of shit because he did it to himself. He was talking some just spicy,
wild,
spicy shit to Derek Lewis's face. And he's like, "You can't fight. You don't know about these, though." What the fucking guy say that washed up boxer that was in Jake Paul's corner is getting in Tyron Woodley's face? "You don't know about these, though." The gloves. He was talking to Derek Lewis, just crazy wild shit. Like, you can't box, blah 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 blah. He's a big guy. Like, obviously he felt he could throw his weight around. didn't make a lick of a difference. It also didn't matter that Derek Lewis is not a great boxer, because once you get past a certain weight, it just doesn't matter. It simply does
Also,
not matter.
you don't have to be great, but if you're getting very good, if you're a professional fighter who's getting very good at knocking people out, in MMA, like, you're not a great fighter, but you know where our head is. You start getting really good at finding someone's head with your fists.
Which is like Derek Lewis's bread and butter.
That's like his whole game.
Yeah.
So like you went to the knockout guide to
Yeah.
be like, you're bad at knocking people out.
And
I'm
he's
like, come
hey,
on now.
Hey, no, I'm not, huh? And then he showed him. Not only did he knock him unconscious onto the ropes, he proceeded. No one stopped him either. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, right? There's no ref. I'm not gonna be the ref that throws my body into the way of that asshole's unconscious bobbing corpse. He was fucking dead, essentially dead. And then I think Derek hit him like 10 times after he was dead on the ropes. Just, he kept rebounding off the ropes, and he would catch another one, and he'd go back down and catch another one.
Literally killed him.
Yeah, that guy has irreversible brain damage. That was a terrible fucking idea. Terrible idea. Speaking of terrible ideas, near Derek Lewis's gym, someone did break into Derek Lewis's car, and he killed him too. He beat the fucking shit out of him, and he was all bloodied, all crazy. Just
he also then posted like an article
okay.
like a couple days later and was like, yeah, he's okay.
He's okay. Just bloodied, get into a police car. Oh man, I love Derek Lewis. Who is also going to be fighting Francis Ngannou in the summer. I don't know exactly when, but he will be fighting
That's
Francis Ngannou.
going to be a goddamn mess.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm fairly positive Francis is going to take it. But Derek Lewis he looks to be healthy, and he's obviously has retained a lot of his power, and he got a brutal uppercut KO over Curtis Blades going in for a shot. But would that be enough? I don't know.
I don't know. I think Ngannou has gotten way better since his loss to Stipe.
Yeah, and
it's been like exponential how on target he is, how often he on target is. He's shown a lot of restraint with the crazy power he has.
And you're not wrestling him anymore. That's out the window. You're not doing that anymore.
Because like Derek Lewis has timing. Like his entire game has been timing. Like
right.
Yes, he's strong and powerful, but like it's all about when he hits.
Right.
And like Francis Ngannou is the exact same guy, but a better boxer.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Oh God,
and like a
yes.
stronger guy.
So you can. We were just talking about Nate Diaz and how he's like will be very patient. Like Derek Lewis does a lot of similar things. They fight very similarly in a lot of ways. Derek Lewis will weather a storm and make it look like he's hurt, and then he'll fucking pop up and then knock you. It happens he does it all the time. It's like he's made his brother like.
Yeah, he's done it 3 times though, like significantly.
Who the fuck did he do that to? He hit him in the stomach and he pretended like he was hurt real bad. And then the guy closed the distance and he popped up like, surprise, motherfucker! And then just yoinked the guy in the last 30 seconds of the fight. It was crazy. Does shit like that all the time. I don't remember who it was yet. Was it Volkanovski?
Is that when he then took his pants off because his balls was hot?
Yeah, I think that might have been when his balls was hot.
I think that was that might have been Volkov. Yeah,
Volkov.
That was before he fought Cormier. So yeah, that was Volkov.
Yeah. They're like, you ready to fight Daniel? And he's like, fuck no. I gotta get my cardio up.
Ngannou was, I think Ngannou was probably hungry for that fight to get that win back.
Yeah. I mean, it's lined up for Francis. I mean, listen, when you start talking past a certain weight, like I had mentioned before, like literally anything's possible. Because it really only takes like as much as the frame is giant, the brains are still functionally the same as another human being's. So it only really takes that one hit with enough G-force to detach your consciousness from your brain, So Derek's still in it, but if you had to put percentages on it, I think it's like 60-40 Francis,
Yeah. And I'm sure the betting odds say the same thing.
Right.
And honestly, that's like the wise, that's the smart, if you've watched any of their fights, that's kind of the smart money.
Yes, I mean, like, Stipe right now I think beats Derek Lewis, so I don't imagine him weathering Stipe and out-wrestling Stipe Miocic. No. He fucking out-wrestled Stipe and beat the fucking shit out of him. Like, I did not think... I thought it was going to be like a flash knockout early. I thought that was going to be like the only way that he would have done it. I heard rumors that all he's been doing is like wrestling to prepare for this, which speaks volumes to Francis's like literal fight IQ. Like his fight IQ is insane. For you to just wrestle for 6 months and that's enough time to beat Stipe, a Division One. Was he an All-American?
I don't know.
I don't know if he was an All-American.
But I mean, I don't know if he has the same accolades. But everyone knows that that's his thing, right? Like, I think the once you train anything with any fervor and for any time, it becomes like a muscle memory situation. You don't have to train knockout punches if you've been doing it for 10 years.
Right.
So you kind of need to dedicate that time. And he's in the prime of his career, so like you can probably pick up. And it's not that he's never wrestled. No. But yeah, if you're showing up 4 times a day to train, and wrestling is on the agenda for most of those days, and yeah, I can see you picking that up pretty quickly.
Well,
you're not going to forget how to throw an overhand. Like,
right.
You got to figure out how to put the overhand in the wrestling situation.
I would say you would get serviceable, but you know, again, it's 2 different athletes we're talking about here, because we're not talking about myself and Francis, but I just feel like you can wrestle as much as you want in 6 months. Stipe's been wrestling since he's 5-6 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard to try to catch up with that level, because the skill and the technique is one thing, but having the wherewithal and the awareness is like, your body snaps into positions that you are not thinking about because you've done it so many times. And it just didn't make a lick of a difference. I knew something was fucked up when DC will like challenge just about anybody. When I heard him be like, I don't want to fight Francis. I just don't. Like no joking. Like he wasn't joking.
I'm good.
Nah, I don't want to do that. You cannot pay me enough money to do that. I knew it was fucked.
I think it's one of those. It's also the ability to learn. Like with lots of grappling, like jiu-jitsu is a bit more complicated than wrestling in the like menu of things you learn to do.
You can do, yeah.
But really, it's kind of just a physics thing. Wrestlers kind of learn to use their entire body as one sort of muscle or one sort of appendage, and that's where time really gives you the advantage. But I don't know that you need, especially if you're fighting at that level, you've already had experience wrestling. The rest of your tools are pretty sharp, and you're in a position at a professional level that you're just kind of sponging any technique. Like I feel like you could wrestle consistently for 6-8 months and turn into a person that can be a competent wrestler with anybody.
At least
of course, you're then leaning on the rest of your skill set too, like being super strong.
But that's what I'm saying. I want to give him so much credit for his fight IQ, because you see so many people like just wrestle for 6-8 months and they're okay. Yeah, maybe you're a good wrestler. Now that's all you're thinking about, and then you get flying knee in the head. Like, you know what I mean? Like to put it all together is like that's such a big deal. Like to learn the skill in that short amount of time and then get efficient at it and able to apply it to a MMA scenario. I mean, it's just like speaks volume to how good of a. It's not. Early in Francis's career, people are like, oh, it's just flukes. You know what I mean? Like he's getting these freakish knockouts because he's just a big dumb guy. I just feel like you can take all of that and just throw it out the window, and you have to give credit where credit's due as far as what he's able to do with his mind. Mm-hmm. Because now it's past him just throwing flurries. Like he's a well calculated Terminator.
Yeah, and maybe I'm not giving him even enough credit, because I know there are a lot of great champions who never had to change much of their style, to succeed. Like I don't know that Anderson Silva became a wrestler at any point in his 10 defense.
He didn't have to
streak. He never had to. Jones maybe became. You saw a lot more of his wrestling as wrestlers began becoming number one contender, but I don't know that he became a wrestler necessarily. He stopped knocking people out, but I mean, stopped knocking people out. He also knocked out DC twice, but wrestling never became a priority. It was always
something he could just do.
I'm shooting so that you don't shoot on me, and then we'll stand up, and then we'll exchange when you lead the clinch, and then hopefully you made it out, and then we'll try that again. So Nagano turned into a wrestler against Stipe, which was incredible. And that you don't see that often. You don't see someone who's like, I'm just going to drop all these other tools and beat you at the game everyone thinks you're good at.
You hear people talk about it. You hear people talk, well, this is what I did in camp. But then the literal application of it, I mean, it was like textbook. It was like watching him work on a drill to sprawl and get out. Like, It was just unreal. I was that was the most impressive thing to me. That whole fight, the knockouts you expect from Ngannou, but for him to sprawl on Stipe, position his body, and take his fucking back like that, I did not foresee that happening. Just couldn't tell me that was something that was going to happen to Stipe Miocic of all fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like he was like rocked all crazy. Like he was like it was early. Like he did it early to Stipe.
I think maybe someone like Namajunas, you've seen almost had two different careers where she was kind of two different fighters.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she was doing much. I don't think she changed her style for Joanna or changed her style for Zhang. I think she was just a different fighter then.
Yeah.
Like she had changed her style before those fights.
Yeah, I mean, like people forget how fucking young she is. Like, what is she, like 28 years old? 20.
Now, yeah, I think she debuted at 22 or 23 or something.
Right. Rose fights soon, right?
I don't know. I think so. Against who though?
I'm bugging. I think I might be bugging.
You know who would know? The internet. Zhang Relay is bag trading for a rematch for Namajunas, so I don't know if that's
not written in stone.
Official.
That's something that I've heard people talk about it because Dana was like, oh well, she does. Zhang deserves the rematch for what she's done in just a short amount of time, which makes sense.
And like stepping up, like Joanna seems to be busy,
right,
doing other things,
right, and then
that aren't.
Do we really want to watch Rose beat up Joanna again for a third time? Like I don't think.
No, and I don't really want to watch her fight like Carla Esparza either.
Right, right.
Like,
Homegirl's coming back though. Tatiana Suarez. She's undefeated, so that I think that might be the I think they get her back in there and she fights someone else and she dominates someone. That might be the fight to make.
Maybe. It's light, but I mean, and not really all that great of a transition or segue. But shout out to Misha Tate, who is coming back.
Is she coming back to the UFC?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's fighting in July, I think.
Does she have a opponent?
I believe so.
Please be Sajara Eubanks.
I think she's fighting.
Oh, Amanda Nunes. Imagine. No. I'm just just imagine.
I think it's Renault.
Okay, that's a tough fight.
Yes, it's Marion Renault.
Yeah, that's a tough fight. Marion Renault is actually
tough fight, but Marion Renault's been on a bit of a losing streak, which makes her the best fight for Misha Tate returning. This
is like the Dominic Cruz, although they threw that unranked guy at Dominic Cruz and he got slugged upon.
And I think this is the this is definitely one of those yes, she's on the slide, but you'll still have to fight her. This is going to be easy,
right?
Especially since she's been away from the ring since 2016,
right?
I think. I don't know what this means about her job at One.
Yeah, because she was an ambassador there, if I'm not.
She was like a vice president or some bullshit. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore.
And part of it was talent acquisition. One of the reasons why One was able to get Eddie Alvarez and Sage Northcutt and all these other people from Mighty Mouse is because she had connections.
Mm-hmm.
So now what conflict of interests? I would have to imagine she's stepping down from her role there.
So there hasn't been I haven't seen an announcement of that. Yeah. I think that's the assumption, but I haven't seen an official. she's putting her duties on hold to return to her fighting career or whatever.
Right. Maybe they don't care.
Maybe Dano's who gives a shit. Whatever.
Yeah. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah, win a fight and then we'll figure it
out. Speaking of women's MMA, I guess do you have anything else? I feel like there's so much shit that I simply have not.
No, I think the only other big thing I was thinking of was the miraculous debut, of course, this year.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to go over.
Allow me to kill this woman in the third round.
Right. Clarissa, I don't want to take anything away from what she's done because to make that transition I think she might be the first successful boxer to make it to a blue chip level competition and beat her first player.
In a convincing fashion.
And had
a real fight. That was she did not. I don't think she was winning that.
No. She was getting
definitively.
control. She was getting controlled on the floor for sure.
But
Wrestling
showed some
Nazis.
grit and pulled the TKO out.
Yeah, I mean, her boxing looked clean. Without those 16-ounce gloves on, she's way faster. Jabs were sharp. She wanted that overhand right real bad, and if it landed, it did land a couple times. Here's the thing, though, and this is why I love this conversation now. I don't think Clarissa Shields, obviously, this goes without saying, she just simply does not have what it takes to beat Kayla Harris. Kayla Harris will wrangle her to the floor and beat her to death within the first round. Quote me on that. However, I
think today, yeah. Absolutely. This Clarissa Shields is not ready.
Yeah, I don't think even in the amount of time that they have for this season, she'll learn enough. Who's to say later on in her career, if that'll change or not? It's very possible. Because she's a world-class boxer, So we can't take that away from her. But here's the reality of the situation, is that Kayla Harris is as big and physically strong as she is, roughly about the same size. And she's a world-class judo practitioner. And I think she got a gold medal, if I'm not mistaken, in judo. And she's very good at striking, so I just don't... she couldn't put this girl away until she was basically tired and on top of her. Clarissa was able to reverse a couple of the positioning. I just don't see her doing the same thing against judo. Against Kayla Harris.
All of judo.
Yes, judo chop. I just don't see her doing any of that. And to even further that, this is a great grand prediction, right? You can point to this today at 10:54 on a Wednesday in the year 2021. I think Kayla cremates Clarissa in spectacular fashion. That's what I know is going to happen. And if it doesn't, then I'll fucking give up. I'll kill myself and whatever. Who cares? But quote that. That's quoted here. Okay. Kayla beats her, and I think Kayla goes to Bellator and fights Cyborg because her contract is going to be up. She's going to make that cool $1 million for the tournament. She'll be like, good, I won 2 or 3 in a row. I'm convincing. I train with Amanda. My name's out there. I got DC talking about me on the Ariel Helwani show. I got all these eyes and attention on me. I'm going to make that transition to Bellator, fight Cyborg, and then I think eventually she'll make her way to the UFC and fight Amanda. Now, I don't know if that is enough. I don't know if she's got what it takes, what she needs to beat Amanda. I don't know if Amanda is willing to go up to 155 and fight Kayla, because that's what Kayla fights at. But I think Cyborg said she'd be willing to fight at 155, which is obviously better for her.
That's what Cyborg wants to do.
Yeah, because fuck cutting weight, because I don't want to do it anymore. And I think she just recently beat, Julia Budd and someone else, Cyborg. So that's a huge money fight for him. And Showtime owns Bellator, so that would be an awesome pay-per-view for them to have. There's just so many things open. But that being said, I don't think Clarissa Shields has what it takes to beat Kayla, and I know for certain now, in my heart of hearts, I just really feel like after what I saw, if they were going to do the boxing MMA crossover, which we're obsessed with now as a nation, I think Amanda fucking kills Clarissa. Based off of what I saw in a boxing match, because I watched her stand up with this girl who's a not really great MMA fighter, not really a great striker, not even really a good grappler, and she just could not put her away standing up on the feet.
But I still think they're different styles. I don't know that she's not throwing like a boxer, even when she's standing in front of her, because she knows, everyone knows, that if you're overcommitting, with hip rotation and foot rotation to really get lead hooks and lead straights going off, you're just giving someone who wants to take down with a single leg, your leg to do that. Yeah. I think if you're I promise you for the next 5 rounds, no one's going to take you down. Yeah. Then I think you're fighting a different fight. I think the problem she might have with someone like Nunes is that Nunes is extremely strong. That's what
and the concessions they make for these MMA fighters across the board, which is what I've seen at just about all of them, even in the ones that are not MMA fighters, they get smaller gloves. They get 10-ounce gloves or lower. and I just feel like one punch is enough for Amanda to put anyone away. And if anyone's got that ability to do it, it is Amanda. I just based off of what I saw, I think Amanda can do it. I think Amanda can beat her. I would love to see it. I would pay for that. That's a pay-per-view I would pay for.
I would love to see Amanda box first because I've seen Clarissa Shields box, and I know that she, even if she doesn't have the power, she absolutely has the technique and the angles, and can pivot and do the whole phone booth pivoting and like really like disguise or like create power out of angles.
Very true.
In ways you don't really have the opportunity to do in MMA. Of course, Dana White doesn't even think Kayla Harrison belongs in the UFC yet.
He said that? He's out of his fucking mind because she's massive, and I think she clears out most of the 135 roster. I can't say that definitively for the top 5, but if there's 15 girls, I think she beats 10 of them.
But I think that's what he's thinking about. Like, can she beat, my champions and contenders currently? Right. And I think that's the question everybody wants to know. Yeah. And I don't know that anyone has the answers because can she beat Amanda Nunes? I don't know.
I don't know if she can do that.
Could she even figure it? Could she get to flyweight and beat Bullet Valentina? I don't know.
She definitely can't get to flyweight. She's huge.
Yeah, she's 155. Yeah. She's not getting to 120.
She's not getting. I would be fucking shocked if she does. She might kill everyone there because what the fuck? Because
kill herself.
Or kill herself. Right. Someone's gonna die. Like I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't think if that's a smart or a good move for her. No. But yeah, I mean that would be such a good contention for I don't imagine they would make a 155 belt for her because there's no one else.
No, they didn't do it for Cyborg. They wouldn't do it for her.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to do it for her. Unless Amanda really pushes for it. But I don't.
I don't even know that even makes sense because Amanda's a double champion and there's no contenders. You have to go find 155ers across the planet, and hopefully any of them give her a shot at all. I don't think so.
They would just have to make up a 155 belt, like a BMF belt type deal.
That's what it would be. But I think this is like, so UFC really wants to make some money. This is how you cross promote. Like, there are significant 155ers out there. You just have to go get them. You don't want to hire them on contract just to fight twice because that's all they'll have the opportunity to do. Then you'll bury them down the card because you don't care anymore. Right. But like for a single attraction, like Dana White can get on the phone and talk to somebody and make this happen.
And of course, like if I'm a 155-pound female fighter, why would I go on the UFC grind when I can fight Gabby Garcia and Risen and we can do professional wrestling instead?
Yeah, we can basically just fight each other. I'll bring a chair.
Yeah.
We'll both make a couple thousand yen or whatever.
Well, and the old woman who just still consistently gets fights against Gabby Garcia will come out with a chair as well, or come off the rafters. That's what that's where the money's at. That's the spectacle we all want.
I mean, why fight for honor? And your silly UFC dollars. Right. But I can just go to Japan and make some real money.
I'm trying to get that geriatric dollar, you know what I mean? Trying to beat the wig off that old 50-year-old woman.
I wonder if she even still fights. I don't think she does.
I don't know either.
I don't think Gabby's fought since 2018.
I hope for her sake she doesn't. Because it's like they told her it was a professional wrestling match, and they just did not tell her that Gabby Garcia was going to come out there and go fight her for real. Because she bounced off of the ropes, and Gabby's like, what are you doing? And then hit her for very real.
What's funny is that she is a pro wrestler. So
that's what I'm saying.
But she lives in that world where pro wrestlers were also in some cases legit like shoot fighters. Yeah. Now I guess it doesn't really exist the same way it used to back in like the Inoki days where Inoki was out here trying to fight like Ali and shit. But I think in women's pro wrestling in Japan it still does because no one cares. So like. They'll have a pro wrestling fight and a shoot fight on the same card, and no one knows the difference. Right. So I can definitely see a situation where they're like, "All right, let's just go out and entertain the people. It's fine." And Yamuki was like, "Yeah, I do this all the time. This is my job. I'll go out there, I'll say some shit on the mic, like we'll make a thing, or we'll make it competitive." And then Gabby was like,
"I'm gonna fight you.
I don't speak Japanese, so I'm going to kill you."
The argument that people make for Brock Lesnar in the WWE is that he was really fighting everybody, and they just couldn't stop him, so they just let it slide. to just keep
yeah,
to keep the facade going.
For
Yeah,
years because no one can stop him.
yeah. What are we gonna do? Break character and be like, "Hey, Brock, calm down. We don't want to fight you, bro." But yeah, that's just about all the things that I have. We got McGregor and Dustin coming up. I guess we'll cover that when we get a little bit closer to that. I think that's about it. I don't think that there's anything else really. Maybe there's something in the UFC that we're missing, or I don't know. But I don't. I think we covered all the hot button issues. Mm-hmm. I feel like. Is there a UFC this upcoming weekend?
There's a fight night on Saturday, I think.
Do we know who's on it?
I know Marlon Vera's on the card somewhere.
Okay.
That's it though. I don't know who the main event is. I know it's not Marlon
Chan
Vera.
Sung Jung. Is that the Korean zombie? Or am I racist?
Oops. Chan Sung Jung? Yeah, that's
okay. All right, I'm not racist. Against Dan Ige, which that's going to be a good fight. Olenek, can't believe he's literally still fighting. That's out of control. When you see 59, 15-1, it's what the fuck.
Oleski Olenek, yeah, he's out here. The boa constrictor,
right?
Yeah,
right. He's just rocking the dad bod and just choking people out with the Ezekiel choke.
He's very much every single year of 43.
Right. Diego Lima is fighting Matt Brown. That's kind of cool. And you're right, Marlon Vera is on here. Third fight from the co-main. There's a lot of Asian people on this card.
Where is it?
Kanako Murata, women's strawweight, is fighting.
Is that the Apex Center? Yeah.
It is at the Apex.
I thought it was maybe it was in Asia.
I thought so too, but no. Choi Sung-hoo is on here. So lots of we're stopping the Asian hate out here. I love it, Dana.
Yeah, that's what Dana was. Dana finally he did the call.
He did the call. We know how racially sensitive Dana White's always been.
Also, I noticed on Twitter that all the other brands changed their logos to rainbows in June. UFC though, couldn't be bothered with that.
Hey, I'll stop you there.
And the fucking Pinkerton company, but not the UFC.
I will stop you there because they were selling fight kits with the names in rainbow colors.
Oh,
so I saw people wear them. Last week.
I forgot they sold fight kits. They're like, hey, you want to get what we give the fighters for free, but for money?
I think fight kits are one of the most psychotic ideas of all time. Because, like, I can understand how you would like, oh, I like how that gear looks, so I'll wear the gear. But the names really throw me off. Do you imagine yourself, you are that person? It's not like a jersey, you know what I mean? Like a jersey for a football game.
I guess that's like the thing, though. That's the marketing angle. They're like, now you get to wear what Peter Yan wore, but not the same stuff. Just like something that looked like what he would wear.
Right. It's very...
But, like, you're not wearing that in the streets. Like, you're not putting the Peter Yan fucking bicycle shorts on.
Never. Not even to go work out. I would feel almost embarrassed that I would have fight kit gear to work out in.
Like, I wonder, like, who's wearing a UFC t-shirt out to, like, the club?
Because when you're wearing a Giants jersey, you're like, okay, that's someone's name's on it, but that's the team you're representing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Giants fan.
Right, and you're probably wearing it on Sunday.
Sunday, right. Unless we're talking about 2004.
Right, in which you're wearing it everywhere. You're wearing it to job interviews.
You're wearing it 4 times bigger than what it actually your size is.
Right.
Baggy shorts.
Yes. I just don't know. Yeah, that is. I have never met someone who has bought them yet.
I guess they have to do it because it's just like leaving money on the table if you don't.
I don't see why you wouldn't sell it. I just don't know who would buy it.
I don't know. I don't know a single human being.
That person yet.
I know more people with tap out T-shirts. And that's it.
That I get. I don't like it, but I get it.
I understand it. That's closer to a football jersey than it is a fight kit.
Right. It's repping a brand that's associated with fighting.
Right.
And, maybe you'll think somebody thinks you're tough when you wear it.
Right. Oh, that guy does MMA. No cauliflower here, but he definitely...
Yeah,
thought
I wore
about
this
it.
T-shirt, and it's very tight up at the top near my shoulders, so I'm very masculine.
Right. Bro,
Um,
I could have been an MMA fighter, but I took an arrow to the knee, or whatever the thing is, like tore my
I
ACL.
have this Venom T-shirt, and there's fangs on it, so I'm with the shits.
Right.
That I still get that. It's kind of like I don't like it, but I understand when people buy college stuff. It's
What
still branding.
what they
Like,
should do?
So you didn't go to Michigan, but you just
Right.
like Michigan, I guess. Wear it, I guess.
I
But
think
I
they
don't
should have
understand the UFC thing.
they should have like fighter themed like gloves, not their name on it, but like if you're gonna get the McGregor gloves, it'll have like the Irish color. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
I think when they let people get their own when they let them get their own sponsorships, they did a bunch of that all the time. I know GSP has had like GSP branded fucking Hayabusa like gear, which I don't know what that. It didn't like have his name on it. I think it just had like the Japanese sun thing
Right.
on it. But like, I don't know if UFC was like, "Yo, get your Misha Tate gloves." Like,
Right.
the people like want the Misha Tate gloves. I don't know.
It would be kind of cool, like if that's what I'm saying. Like, don't do the tacky thing, because what they do with the tackiness of the names on the they don't. It doesn't even look like good font. You know what I mean? Again,
Yeah.
if the fighter's walking out with it, I understand you're literally the fighter wearing it. You know what I mean? I think it would be cool if you like. Almost all these guys have nicknames. Like hers was Cupcake. Put fucking cupcakes on the gloves. You know what I mean? Like just it's just little things like that. I would buy
Or
those
like
gloves.
a T-shirt that's like in some way like
cupcake.
take the fucking pro wrestling situation and just make merch for your dudes.
Right. Based off
And
of their
people can buy
personalities or whatever,
Yeah.
Like the Yes shirt. I don't watch
Yes.
that guy at all. I would buy that because it says yes. Why not? Who cares? Could be for anything.
Or even if you do and you're like, I want something that I want something that's Misha Tate branded. Give me the shirt with the cupcake.
Right.
Like, it doesn't just say her fucking name on it. It's like a thing.
Like a happy cupcake or something. You know what I mean? We should be fucking Dana. Hire us for the marketing, bro.
Completely ignore the last several years of this show where I take every episode to call you a piece of shit.
Like today. Oh, even.
Right. Think about this. We
Think
can
about
help
this.
you. I can help you.
Hey, you got Ben Askren. Why not get us? You know,
Mhm.
we're the Ben Askren of podcasts.
Sure.
Hopefully we don't end up unconscious under a 17-year-old TikToker.
Listen, if it
Anytime
gives me the
soon.
bag, I can figure it out.
That's true. That's true. Any 17-year-old TikTokers that feel like they want to knock us unconscious for the bag in Ryzen,
Let's
we're here.
go.
We're here for it. All right. That's just about all I have. Jarrett is, I don't want to brag, but he's kind of a big deal now because he's the IGN reviewer guy for these
Only for
massive
things they don't
videos.
want to review themselves.
That's enough. That's all you got to do to get the bag, bro. That's all you got to do to get in.
It's true. And they're like, I don't want to play this fucking DLC.
You're like,
But there's
I will.
traffic, so like maybe someone should.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fucking awesome to see you rate these things for IGN and they get read by a white man, which I feel like is kind of whitewashing. Hashtag whitewashing, gentrification, whatever buzzwords I have in my head.
Some social justice shit on the back of that.
No, in all seriousness, it's pretty fucking awesome. Do you have? That's on IGN's specific page, right? Like that's like okay. So go to IGN and look up Jarrett. Well, you post all this stuff on Facebook and I'm assuming Twitter because you are the Twitter god.
What was the last thing? Last thing I reviewed was Knockout City.
Yeah, Knockout City, which I will saw.
Which was the legitimate big deal.
That
was the first.
That's a good game.
game.
It's a dope game. I like it. I actually like it. I like the game a lot.
Yeah, you can just look that up on IGN, the YouTube channel, or the site itself. The written review is all me. The YouTube video review is my script, but someone else reading it.
I saw that you were doing something about honoring black voice actors.
Yeah,
in video
for
games.
this year's PAX, I'm hosting a panel PAX Online. They're still not in person this year. But on July 16th or 17th, whatever one of those are, Wednesday, at 6:30 on the Twitch, one of the PAX Twitch channels, I think PAX number 2, they have 3. I will be gathering people in the industry to put together the inaugural Black Video Game Character Hall of Fame, where we will honor the tradition of Black video game characters and canonize them in the way they deserve to be canonized, in a non-tangible Hall of Fame that means nothing.
Do you have the guy that was in Mad TV and Metal Gear Solid as well?
Um,
In there? Because you should include him in there.
Not Ares. What's his name?
No.
As the voice actor, it's like
Yeah.
at a special award.
Yeah.
As Black dude who only does exclusively white voices in
Yeah.
video games.
Because he was Vamp? Philomar!
He was, yeah, Philomar. He's Vamp, famously. He's also Ramza in the War of the Lions remake, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
He is also another famous video game voice.
I feel like yes. And when
there's
you
like a
say it,
there's like a trifecta of voices. He is. Vamp is one of them.
Vamp
Ramza
is
is
the
the other
big
one, and
for
I
me, at
think
least.
he's a voice of a vampire in Vampire the Masquerade. He's a voice of one of the characters in Knights of the Old Republic. He's everywhere. He's literally everywhere. He's
there's like one that I can't think of that I remember. Like that was fucking Phil Lamar. Like the whole time.
He was Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead.
That's what it was.
Cartoon,
Yeah. That's fucking great. Shouts out to Phil Lamar. He's goated. If you guys don't,
Yeah, he low
induct
key
him?
had like a whole ass career after that. Another person from Mad TV also has like a illustrious like voice acting career. What's her name?
She was Lois. She was Lois in Family Guy. What the fuck is her name? And she was like that super racist Mrs. Swan character.
No, she has also had an illustrious voice acting career. I'm thinking of Deborah Wilson.
Deborah Wilson, that's correct. Yes. Who was she? What games was she?
Deborah Wilson's been in all types of shit. More games than Phil Lamar.
Yeah.
But she was in Halo. She was also in Metal Gear Solid as Crying Wolf in the fourth one. She was Storm, one of the old games. She's in Halo 3 as just random Marine voices. She was in Infamous. I think she did some supplemental voices in the Final Fantasy 15. I think she was in God of War or Gears of War 4. She was in a couple of Far Cry games.
She's been in lots of games.
She's in all types of shit.
That's like AAA titles as well.
Yeah, she's like secondary voices and lots of AAA titles.
Yeah. Shouts out to Mad TV for cultivating all this voice acting talent.
Mad TV had talent.
Yeah.
Like low key, I don't know if it was the better show. I mean, maybe it might have been a better show.
Definitely better than SNL. Definitely better than SNL.
But like Phil Lamar, like Deborah Wilson, Nicole Sullivan, fucking Aries Spears, like.
Who was the one lady that did fucking Lois?
That is not Mary.
Can't think of her name. You're gonna say it, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna look it up.
No, I think that is no, Nicole Sullivan wasn't Lois.
No.
Nicole Sullivan was she showed up out of nowhere in Black Dynamite as the president's hussar wife, Miss Nixon.
Alex Borstein.
Yes.
Wow.
Who is also like after that she was, I don't think she is even remotely Asian, which is hilarious.
Which is so well, Mad TV was like one of
super problematic.
It was a super problematic show because they had like black people play Mexican. That one guy who did Key and Peele, he was on the Key and Peele show. He had him be like a Mexican man that was like super violent for no reason. It was just a weird, dark show. Like it wasn't like SNL. Like you can see like they have like 1 + 2 = 3. You know what I mean? Like their formula for comedy was like, which is like why it's so terrible,
Mm-hmm.
is like very formulaic. But like for Mad TV, it's like we're just gonna do anything. They're wild. They just
What if,
say and
what
do
if 1
anything.
+ 2 were covered in blood?
And diarrhea. And Bobby Lee.
Yeah, and Xanax.
Right. They really went to town with the Asian stuff there, though. They like went nuts with the Asian stuff.
They're like, you don't even look Asian, but we're going to pretend you do.
We're going to make
and
you Asian.
If you just do the thing, and everyone's going to believe you are.
And if you're Asian, we're going to give you really awful stereotype roles. like just classic Hollywood Asian stuff. Like everything else was unorthodox, but the Asian stuff was like right canon with what they do in Hollywood. Wow. Wild time the 90s was, huh?
Love to see it.
Love to see it. We're going to end on wild Asian stuff from Mad TV. Follow at Jarrett John on all platforms. JarrettJawn. That's your Twitter as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend you follow his Twitter as well because that's where he gets a lot of the updates for most of his shit. I don't know if you give out your Facebook like that. Do you give your Facebook out?
No, because I'm not there at all.
Well, because all the stuff that I've seen, because I'm not on Twitter, has been through your Facebook.
Yeah, I if I have something to share, yeah, I'll put it on everything. But I'm not on Facebook daily.
Unless you want to talk about Wawa.
Yes.
Right.
I feel like if you want,
you're gonna talk about Wawa, you talk about it on Facebook.
If you want the unfiltered, raw, Jarrett woke up and just needs to tweet this real quick for no reason. He should probably do anything else with his time.
Right.
But he doesn't want to leave bed yet, so he's gonna hit you with this take real quick. Then that's the guy. That guy's on Twitter.
I guess on Twitter. And then it's Jarrett Drinks Things on Instagram, right?
Still Jarrett John.
Still Jarrett John?
Yeah.
Where am I getting the Jarrett? Oh, that's just like your captions.
Mm-hmm. That's like all I do on Instagram.
Right, it's just drink. You would think he's pretty canon to the writer. Character build is crippling alcoholism. So it's very well documented.
I'm developing the character.
Right. You can follow me at Peach Daddy, PeachDaddie, and I'll say it on other episodes, and I'll say it here. Whoever's got Peach Daddy with the Y, we can fight. I'll fight you for that name.
That's who you should fight at the next Triller show.
Peach Daddy versus Peach Daddy.
For $10 and the rights to Peach Daddy.
That's it. That's all I want.
I
don't care about the money. This isn't about the money, guys. This is about the glory.
You gotta get the booking. Someone's gotta lodge you and get the flight.
Right.
Have them pay for that, and then you fight.
At the very least.
Right.
You're the best manager of all time. You just undercut me on live TV.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. That's all we got. Stay black, y'all, and don't forget to eat your vegetables.
Sure.
It's good for you. Greens are good for you. Vitamins are good for you.
Yeah.
This is an On It ad now. Go to
This is surprise.
all of it works. Shroom Tech works. It'll make your brain work better.
Also, shout out to Gymshark, I guess. I don't know.
Gymshark?
Drop in. I don't know.
The ladies be bad in the Gymshark, so I am fucking with the Gymsharks.
Also, don't they sell like shit supplements that don't actually work?
I didn't even know they sold supplements. So I'm going to assume yes, because I thought they were a clothing company. Anytime a clothing company is trying to sell you supplements for your health, just don't get it. That's
I thought
my
all
advice.
of those fit brands just did all of it. Maybe I'm just unfairly pigeonholing them all into one box.
I think you
that
are.
I hate. But that's not fair. I shouldn't do that.
You don't fucks with Herbalife, bro?
I'm sorry, Herbalife.
It's not a pyramid scheme at all. It's a very legitimate way to make money and be healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Sell your soul. Give me your social security number, please. Thank you. But that's it. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Bon voyage. Have a nice trip.